American Forum.
During the 2008 presidential campaign, Michelle Obama controversially said that she was finally proud of her country. But as the Obama presidency comes to an end, what's the predominant view, as far as you would measure it, among African Americans? Is it one that at the end of this presidency, a sense of pride over this achievement, a greater sense of security about a place in America, or is it a sense of disappointment or unfulfilled promise?
Well, I think it's a mix of both. I think that you have tremendous pride in the election of Barack Obama, in the person of Barack Obama. So I think there's a lot of pride and protectiveness over the Obamas as a couple and over the Obama presidency. At the same time, I think that African Americans have watched what's happened with Obama in the White House to the overall sort of vibe when it comes to race in America. And some of it was expected to become dark, to become negative, and some of it has, I think, been kind of shocking. And I think the increasing sort of violent tone of the vituperativeness toward the Obamas was something that I think a lot of African Americans expected to happen, but to dissipate. The fact that in some ways it's intensified, I think, has been shocking to a lot of black folk. And then I think also within the Obama presidency, there was an expectation that we'd have a more extended and in-depth dialogue on racial matters that I think hasn't happened until about the last probably 12 months of the president's tenure.
Is that something that you think that President Obama himself really wanted to have? My sense, I have to say, is that there are lots of people around him who anticipated that and wanted that, but the president, being a very politically calculating individual, probably realized from very early on, as he did during the campaign, that there might not be opportunity for that.
I think the president came into office really looking to focus on just being president, with race being an important but incidental factor in his presidency. And I think the people around the president also wanted to sort of sublimate race to the other important issues of the day, namely the economy, which was their big concern coming in, and healthcare. And I think this was a president who wanted to have great achievements as president that were not weighted down with the idea that these were achievements by a black president. I think he wanted to be a president who was black, which is a very different thing.
So in the end, he becomes a president who, somewhat ironically, surprisingly, the rising tide lifts all boats was as much the philosophy of the Obama presidency as related to poor African Americans as it was to the Reagan administration.
Absolutely, and I think that rising tide discussion, it's not something that President Obama sort of was holding on to for political calculation. I think that's what he actually thinks, and I think that he believed that there was no purpose to doing specifically targeted programs related to African American suffering, or to speak specifically to the African American community, when it was his responsibility, I think in his view, to speak to the whole country. That deeply disappointed a lot of African Americans who said, wait a minute, as the first black man to embody that office, you're speaking from the highest political pulpit in the land, and the African American community gets mostly rebuke from the White House in terms of lectures about being better fathers and being better parents, but not really the targeted kind of not only affection from the White House, but also an explication of black pain that could be done from no better and no higher office than his.
Was he, in a quantitative way, was he a
Right.
good president for black people?
Well, I think, it's difficult, because if you think about the best years of the economy.
From the University of Virginia's Miller Center, this is American Forum.